summoning the power, summoning the YouTuber in me.
I believe in you, mate. I believe in you.
Dude, that's probably a good place to start the video, actually. Me being like, I'm summoning the YouTuber within me. Because like I told you, I'm so tired from waking up with my kid last night. But you know what? Yeah, let's start it there. What's up, dude? How you doing? How you feeling? Tell me all about it.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. It is absolutely lovely to be on the channel. Very, very flattered by some of the videos that you've put out about Black Tongue and about my vocals in particular in the past.
Hell yeah.
Always keeps me going.
Yeah, man. I've wanted to do this for a long time, but for whatever reason, we're here now. We're here now. And yeah, dude, I have to say, I am pretty I've really only heard the one song, right? The one song. Listen to that professionalism. I can't think of it right now because I'm so tired. I will not be denied the divinity of, and I love
The Voice from the Outer Dark.
Yeah, The Voice from the Outer Dark. Yes, thank you. And like, man, it was like super unexpected because, as we were talking about just before this call, Black Tongue and Aversion's Crown are like crazy different. I think that they're crazy different. And so hearing the way that you've bridged that gap and kind of managed this, we're going to talk all about it once we start listening to the song, has been a ton of fun, right? Because that would be very difficult for me. That'd be crazy difficult to go from Kardashev, where I just hold screams for a long time, to something with a tempo. That'd be tough.
Think so, man. I think you can do it.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. If I ever do anything heavier. But how's it been releasing these new songs and kind of, because I don't know if you've scanned Reddit, but people there were a decent amount of people being like, holy crap, Alex Teyen. I learned how to say it. Alex Teyen is back and doing shit. How's it been seeing that reception, man?
It's been really heartwarming to see the comments saying, oh, I'm just glad to see Alex Teyen back at it, hearing his vocals, more recently playing shows again, which is that's what gives me life. So it's been really, really nice to see that, or even to see people that are like, oh, that's an odd choice. Excited to see how he does, and then them actually seeing it and being like, holy shit, he doesn't just have to do slow and low.
Yeah, dude. And yeah, well, I guess we'll talk about it, like I said, once the song starts. So I'll ask you this before we hop into it. I always ask every guest and they always give me the same answer, almost always. So we'll see if you're the combo breaker. But is there anything, like I said, I've only heard the first 15, 20 seconds when the song dropped, and then I was like, okay, I gotta wait. Is there anything you want to prep me for, things to expect, what the song is about, content, cool things, or am I going in blind like everybody makes me do?
When the big BD hits at the end, and you'll know it's coming, just close your eyes and just let it wash over you.
So don't pause.
No, just let it wash over you. That is the best way to experience it. It's like one of those fucking bioharmonic vibe bed water sound bath things. It's mad.
Okay, shit. Hell yeah. Wow. Well, okay, I'm pumped. I'm excited. And you know what? To everybody watching, I will not pause during the breakdown. We were talking and I told you that sometimes as I have been doing this job for a while now, I will intentionally hear a good part coming and I'll pause it just to kind of make people mad. You gotta troll your audience a little bit. You gotta troll your audience just a touch.
You gotta wring some sort of joy out of this fucking miserable life, haven't you?
Yeah. every time I see somebody in the comments and they're like, you paused at the worst possible time, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it.
So yeah, but we're here to talk about it. So just listen to the song if you want to hear it.
One thing I used to say, and most people are really chill, most people are so cool, but one thing I used to do in the comments is I would like, you know how you can like take a link and make it like a tiny URL so you can't tell what it is. I would tell them that I had a secondary commentary free channel, and then it would just be a download link to Spotify. That was like I used
It's gonna be to a Rick Astley song.
Dude, see, that's what I should have done. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and check this out. Castigation Choir. I forgot what castigation meant, and I was like, what? And then I was like, oh wait, hold on. All right, here we go. Let's check it out. The sound of the carrier bell. To the ground as the carriers dare. The sound of the carrion bell. Resounding echoes across the whole nations. And I heard it as it were. The noise of thunder, blowing berserkly. It's actually already a good place to pause. So I want to ask you something more broad before we get into like the finer places of the song. And this is actually a really good example of what I want to talk about. So you're somebody who, like, there are some vocalists who from first album they ever released, regardless of whatever band it was, to now, they sound exactly the same, right? And then there are other, like, you're a vocalist who you've kind of gone through some like eras. Like I remember, I don't remember exactly the first time I heard your metal vocals, but I do remember one video that was like shot at like the back of your head. I haven't watched it in a long time, and you had like really short hair and you were screaming. And then that sounded a lot different than what you hear on like a couple of the Black Tongue albums, Nadir for sure. And then in Black Tongue, there was a lot of open, not entirely, but a lot of open false chordy driving sounds. And then here I'm hearing things that are a little bit more like compressed and narrow. And so I'm kind of wondering, when it comes to your approach to metal vocals and extreme vocalization, do you have like an intentional goal of like, oh, I want to be a little bit different on every album, every release? Or are you just like, damn, I'm just trying to make some cool noises, and wherever that takes me is wherever it takes me? What are your thoughts on that?
It's more I won't say it's like a happy accident, but it is more a result of every time I'm in the studio for any length of time, I'll always learn something new to do. Sometimes it's by accident, sometimes it's been something I've been thinking about, and maybe, you know, doing some dry runs in the car and stuff like that when I've been driving around. Or sometimes it's like I often work with Aaron from Infant Annihilator and Black Tongue, and he has a crazy superpower of being able to vocally explain two of the types of vocals that I do, and then say combine those things, and sometimes I'll say like, but do it here, or do it like here, and I'm like, I don't know if I can combine those two things, and then I do it, and he was right, and it sounds absolutely mint. And I just think that's pretty cool, because most people can't even vocalize how to do vocals, and he isn't a vocalist either, so the fact that he can. But anyway, enough blowing smoke up his ass. It's like a result of that, and like a lot of, because I never practiced any techniques early on. It was all just like I just did it how I did it, and that was good for a lot of like personality and like rage and power.
Sure.
But for most of the time that we were like actually active and doing a lot, like in the first 4 years, I was like hating myself, like live, like every tour.
Yeah.
3 days in, I'd have like fucked my voice off, like,
oh damn.
And it like like obviously that won't mint. Most of the time it was more like I'd lose my speaking voice, but then I could keep doing vocals. But then eventually, like, even that I'd start to go. And there was like, I remember specifically, I think we was in Germany. I think we might have even been in Berlin. And I was like, my voice is fucked. how am I going to do this show? And I basically had to like find a way around doing vocals to make a similar sound.
Uh-huh.
Without using the exact same parts, and I managed it, and I was like, that's good, but I'm obviously hating myself. And like just knowing that I could make a similar sound
Mm-hmm.
without putting my all into it was really good, but I still didn't really pick up that in its entirety like I should have until years and years later, maybe even like 6 years later.
Yeah.
Like, because it used to be, I was like, right, the lower and gnarlier I want it, it just needs more power, and I'm obviously just not putting enough power in, and that is just fucking not the right answer. Like, if you're
Oh
doing that
man.
right now, to listeners, if you're trying to get a deeper and gnarlier sound by putting more power in, stop doing it, because
Mm.
you're gonna fucking hurt yourself, and this is just not how it works. And like,
Yeah.
to be fair, like the most, like, as I said, it, like every time I get into the studio, I learn something new, and I'll learn like a new style, and you'll hear like little sprinklings of it on albums. Like every Black Tongue album, there's something a bit newer on it. But I think even like the most amount of change in my vocals and like the newer things that I managed to pick up and keep myself safer, they've all happened in the last like 2 years, and it's
Mm.
since I started getting through my head that I don't need to be giving it like all the beans all the time. Like I just need to be actually using quite a bit less power ends
Mm.
up making the sound that you want. So but you are right, like it is constantly changing, and I like it. I like
Yeah.
that it's constantly changing. I don't like putting the same album out twice, do you know what I mean? There's always
Mm-hmm.
something new to listen to.
Yeah.
And it's I can like surprise myself, which is nice. Like I'm not gonna get bored of what I'm doing ever.
Sure. Sure. Um, yeah, that is I actually don't know. I feel like this could be relevant to the absolute fucking journey you just described, but how old are you?
34.
34. Okay, so yeah. So that tracks then, because that's what we were doing back then, dude. We were just like making sounds. We didn't know what it was called. Everybody had the Zenith Screaming DVD, but most of us only watched the first couple like minutes of it. You know what I'm saying? And then we were like, this is too much work. Um, dude, people were losing their voices all over the place back then. And I think, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, right? Coming from a guy who makes my entire living giving vocal lessons. But I am not saying you should intentionally blow out your voice. Now that I've got that out of the way, I feel like we learned, like, you were talking about like, oh, well, I learned a new way to do it, or I learned a new way to make a similar sound, even though my voice was hurt. I'm not saying do that, but I am saying I think we kind of learned some decent lessons, because we all, like, I've had that experience. Kardashev was never as active as y'all were running around playing shows, but we certainly did. And there would be times, when, especially because for a while I was working at UPS, and I was down in the hub. I had the clipboard, so everybody hated me. And I'm like yelling at people. No, I never yelled, but you do have to project your voice. And then we'd have a show that night, and I'd be like wrecked because of like all the dust and the nastiness. And you, like, in the moment, you got to find a new way to play. Don't put it here, put it here, scream it here. And I think that I don't know, taught us something that maybe today people can learn with a little less pain. But that makes sense as to why there have been all these different changes, especially because you've had the value of somebody at the helm when you're tracking saying like, hey, do that different. That's one of the biggest things for me, is that a lot of times, like, my best vocal work comes when, well, he lives in Germany now, but Nico, our guitarist, would be like, hey, do it this way. And I'd be like, I don't know if that's possible. And he'd be like, just try it. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, oh, damn, that
Well, I
sounds,
love working in groups. Like working in
dude.
groups is how human beings should operate. Because
Yeah.
I can do certain things by myself, but like even without all like the constant crushing self-doubt, which I have to deal with, like there's always you only have your frame of thinking, and everyone can bring something to the table and
Hmm.
request something of you that you wouldn't have thought of, and that's always the best stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I like working with Aaron like so much, because we work together so well, and he's so like knowledgeable about that kind of stuff, just like instinctively.
Hmm. Well, I mean, goodness gracious, some of the music that he's been involved in is some of the craziest, most mind-bending stuff. So it makes sense he'd have some like out of pocket suggestions for you, like take these two sounds and put them together. I have a couple other things I want to talk about, but let's go ahead and check out a little bit more of the song here. And eventually we'll get more into like the nitty gritty of technique, but that's always a fun place to start because people can listen to what's coming next kind of now with your like philosophy in mind. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's keep going. I'm going to pause it again. I don't care who cares. So you're moving through a lot of like genres right now. And that's kind of nuts, right? Like in in that moment, in that spot, there were sections. Now, I've never been a proponent of like those are black metal vocals. Those are deathcore vocals. Those are death metal vocals. Because I think, you know, I'm going to sound maybe a little bit like an old head right now, but I think like part of the fun of metal is it has or should have less rules. So when people grid line vocal styles, they're like, I want to learn how to do.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
You would think so. You know, so when people are like, I want to learn black metal vocals, I'm like, well, what does that even mean? Right. But at the same time, there certainly are techniques and sounds that show up more frequently. Right. So part of the way that I'm hearing you do that is a lot of the way that you are placing your vowels, holding on to your vowels, narrowing your vowels, and then throwing in just like really quick, like in some spots, it sounded like it would be a vocal that would fit really well in like an earlier Rivers of Nile album, right? And then you hit like a just brief tunnel that's like very deathcore. Then you have like this sort of like wide open mouth, but still bright and forward sound that has like a black metal vibe to it. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, you know, in a lot of my videos, I'm like, I think you are more of a standout vocalist, right? Because a lot of people can do really fast metal vocals, right? But I'm a person who like and this is just my personal taste. I love delivery. Like, truth be told, man, vocal coached guys down. I don't care if it's false chord or fry. That doesn't matter to me. What I care about is like, is the delivery impactful, right? And so a lot of that ties together, this switching of genre, this molding of vowels, this holding, like those E vowels you held on to, you know? So how like, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, when you're moving so quickly through those placements and through those tones, are you thinking to yourself like about each one of those spots individually, or are you just kind of like flowing? Like, are you just like at the mic and you're like, you know, just kind of whatever feels right in the moment?
I think about them. So I like to make a first pass through the entire song.
Yeah.
And then I like to go back through it. And the first thing I do is what style here goes on for too long and is starting to get a bit grating. And that's like the easiest like metric to go on. Because like I don't ever like, something that stands out to me with tracks is from other bands is that it's like when a riff overstays its welcome, or a style or a pattern in the vocals overstays its welcome. Like that really stands out to me. Obviously,
Sure.
That's a personal preference, but I don't want that in like anything I'm involved in. So that's like the easiest thing to do. Then I'm like, right, what do we switch up to? But I also like to keep it. This is probably the wrong use of this word, but diegetic to what's actually happening within the lyrics. I like the delivery to match what's happening in the lyrics as best as it can, with you know, like within, you know, the appropriateness of the music around it and stuff like that.
Sure.
Because like a lot of what you're pointing out, I think can be like summed up with, it's very much I like my songs to very much be an act as well as like a musical performance. Like I
Oh
love
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's all acting to me. They're like every
Hmm.
song has the story and the character and how that character presents itself, and I feel like that I'm always trying to get that character's feeling or the feeling of like this what that subject matter brings to me uh in the intonation of my voice, so people
Hmm.
can like pick up on that. And I know not everybody does. I know like because quite a lot of the comments on the new stuff are just saying I'm a mid vocalist. I was like, wow.
Dude, I like I swear, like I don't know. I see some of the wildest. I don't know. It's hard, man, because like, oh, I just got a notification. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes. I've got Zoom. I've got Zoom Professional. What the heck? All right, so I don't know where we left off, but Zoom was like, "Hey, give us money," and I was like, "I already did." So we're talking about playing characters. Oh, I remember people were saying you were a mid vocalist in the comments, and dude, I don't even know how to address that because I'm like, what are you talking about?
Because I
You
didn't
know,
do high pitch screams and it pissed them off.
dude, but like, what do people even want, man? Like I remember like there was a time when everybody was like, oh, it's all gutturals and now oh, it's all highs. I'm like, man, y'all are too tough to follow. But you know, it's interesting what you say about playing a character because I think that, you know, that's one of the things that you do, I think, a bit uniquely, right? Because there are a lot of bands that play characters, right? There are a lot of bands where they will narrate characters, right? The first one for me, because, you know, I'm always and probably always will be because I don't like change. But you know, I've always been like a black metal guy. Black metal is the genre that I really, you know, sometimes I deviate away from it, but it's what I always return to. I always return to black metal of all of its varieties. Yeah, see, there you go. There you go. And one band that does a lot of that, that's more of a, like the theatrical side, is Carrick Angren, right? And he like literally narrates characters. I think a lot of what you do, at least is how I receive it, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, is you convey that character's emotional profile, right? Like there was a lot of this in Black Tongue, a ton of it in Black Tongue. Like a lot of the lyrics feel like I'm hearing you talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Versus like just screaming about abysses and hates and all this stuff, right? You know, metal vocal tropes. And I remember that was the only thing I guess I could say. Not that I was like concerned about, but I was like, you know, I'm always open to whatever an artist wants to do. But I was like, I hope he keeps some of that like angry, emotional delivery. And so, you know, a lot of that comes from the way that you like spit out and enunciate your vocals. You know, a lot of the time you have like a voicey scream, like there's vocal tone underneath, right? And I think that really adds to that goal. There's a lot of time because like it's like how much of emotion can you convey when it's just like it sounds cool, but there's no like, you know, it's hard to have a character in there. So is that like your vocalization, like the activation of your vocal cords, like how much we can hear your voice, is that something you consciously turn off and on, or is it something that you just kind of let through and when it shows, it shows?
Yeah, that is it's unintentional. I
Oh,
only
interesting.
really realized I was doing it like comments that I saw like relatively recently, like maybe only in the last couple of years, were people saying like, "Oh, you can hear like his English accent through it," and I'm like, "Oh, I did not realize." Some people liked it, some people didn't. But it isn't intentional, and I think it's because it comes from me trying to enunciate as much as possible, that just naturally happens because
Hmm.
of my accent. And with me being from Yorkshire, it's like quite like non-standard English accent type thing.
Yeah, it's not like the East London or the BBC that people are used to. Like they think England, they think like one of those two, generally speaking. Um, That makes sense. You know, if it makes you, if for whatever it's worth, I didn't even know you were like from the UK until a year ago. I had no idea. And then I heard you in an interview and I was like, I guess I never thought about where he was from. I don't know. But yeah, it's a really interesting, it's really interesting that you say that you do it unintentionally, because maybe my brain was just creating patterns, but I felt like I always heard it extra in more narrative spots. But maybe that's because in narrative spots, the song tends to be a little bit more open. So there's like less rhythm section gobbling up those tones, you know?
And it is more like that's when the enunciation is like at its, highest. So I think it makes sense for it to come through there. Like, I think that's when there's the most voice involved. So like in that way it's intentional, but it isn't like I'm trying to sound English. Like
sure. I would actually disagree with that. I would say that you're doing so much like you're doing so much music narration. I don't know that I've ever, like, sometimes you can hear, like, I feel like with Alex Terrible you can hear the Russian accent come through sometimes, but like the one line that I think most people would think of is "you're prodigal," but you say prodigal, you're prodigal, you know what I mean? Maybe that's how y'all pronounce it out in New Yorkshire, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting that it's more unintentional. Let's keep going though, because there's a lot more song to get through, but that's fascinating. And then we'll actually talk like direct technique. Oh, I forgot. Oh my god, dude, this is tradition. I'm messing up my own channel. We gotta light some incense to keep the stank spirits away, dude. Yeah, dude. Yeah, we gotta keep them at bay. All right, cool. Let's go. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting articulation in there, but I want to talk actual tone and grit now. I'm also noticing a theme across the two music videos. Like in the first music video, we had like a lot of TV screens and static and like glitchiness. And now I'm seeing like a lot of boxes, like, you know, when you see like security footage and it like sees a person, it like puts a little box around them, you know, does that like play into the concept of things, or is it just, I
think so, in like a kind of meta-y way, because obviously like the first one, we filmed it in 2 different countries.
Sure, yeah.
And this one we filmed it after that short tour that we just did with Eyes Murder. The funny thing is, it was in the same building.
Oh really? Hell yeah.
I quite like that. It was in like a different part of it, but so yeah, so it's more just like and we're like, look, we need something that we can do whilst you're here.
Yeah.
And, you know, to show you with the band and everything. So we're just like, we'll just do the, you know, slick performance video. Obviously with Colin, who, you know, the original vocalist, with his company, and he was, you know, he was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, there is, you know, the links are, you know, purposeful and accidental.
Yeah, interesting. I actually didn't know that it was the original vocalist who did the video. I never really, because Aversion had 3 vocalists, Colin, Mark, and you. right?
Yeah, I think they actually had one more right back in the early days. But
Oh,
like the three main ones are Colin, Mark, the guy that's now in Die Art Is Murder, and me.
interesting. Huh. Fascinating. Well, yeah, so let's talk about some actual tones. So they he, oftentimes, you know, I think for me, and again, this will sound kind of weird coming from me who like I've built my entire career around metal vocals and teaching metal vocals, but I think one of the most boring questions is, do you do false chord or fry? Because very few people are doing just that, right? And also definitions and experiences tend to be two separate things, right? Like I can define what water is, but I don't experience it as hydrogen oxygen bonds. I experience it as cold and refreshing, right? So this is kind of one of my favorite ways to start is, let's say you were walking down the street, okay? And you don't have to, but I'll throw it out there. You're walking down the street and some kid like pops out of a candy store, or you have like, if you've ever seen Billy Eichner on the street, like interviewing people for $1, name a woman, right? I love that dude. If somebody walked up to you and they were like, do the roar, what would be the sound? You're caught off guard, right? You're just hanging out, right? You're just having a normal day. What would be the sound that would be the most easy? And you can describe it or you can do it. There's really no pressure either way. But what would be the sound that would be the most easy for you to do in that moment? Because I know for me, it would just be like either a basic false chord, and really honestly nothing fancy, like a or a right, and then I'd be like, here's my $1 and leave me alone. You know what I mean? Exactly. What would that be for you?
One of the kind of newer things that I picked up, because obviously, like, false chord was like the new thing, wasn't it? But then unfortunately that got fucking driven into the ground almost immediately by like every single new vocalist doing it. So like every fucking band sounded unfortunately identical because of how, upfront the vocals are
Mm,
in metal. And as you were saying like before, like the how much personality could you put in, the most extreme types of vocals? It's like very little. So every vocalist sounded the same. And I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in learning that for quite a long time. And then I was like, oh, well, I should probably learn it. Like it'd be silly not to. And this is when I started taking vocals like a bit more seriously.
sure,
Like when I started just not putting all like the full power in and stuff.
sure.
And then like when I like the thing, I'm glad I did because the things that I learned from doing it have helped me with like other types of vocals. Um, and I guess it's kind of like I've got a bit of a dry throat, so I hope I don't embarrass myself in front of the full internet. But it's like such an easy. It's like almost doesn't feel like you should be able to make like the sound like this. But it's the tongue behind the teeth and the raised up at the back, like
Yeah.
the full throat. To just go, and it's like, cool, sounds fucking grim.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it takes like no energy. It's great.
Sure. You got lucky. Zoom muted most of that, so we only hear the first little bit, but it's fine. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So that's that's one thing too. It's crazy and it's easy to overuse. I catch myself overusing it sometimes, but you can take, and I think that lends a lot to like these vowel shifts and these characterizations we're talking about. Is that like simple sounds that on their own are like not super cool. Like, is that like a bomb ass metal vocal? No, I wouldn't say so. But now I'm just gonna go like, and now it sounds crazy, right? Because you have like these like nasty, gnarly filters, and I think that that's where things can diverge from like super technical, right? Where like it's all these like, how do I explain this? So a lot of the way that I hear you deliver your vocals, it's very based on the word in the lyric. A lot of ways that a more technical vocalist, right? And this isn't to say better or worse, right? Because I love the technical vocalists too, like your Will Ramos, your vocalists just in that vein, right? More based on the sound, right? You've got Yngwie Malmsteen over here just like shredding for shred, which a lot of people say that like it's a bad thing, and it's like, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. And then you've got, people over here, playing like blues guitar, which is more swingy, which is more bendy, which is more focused on the emotion and the vibe of the song, right? And essentially I kind of found myself on a tangent, but it makes sense that it would be something easy to do. Like you said, it doesn't feel like much. You shouldn't feel like you're able to do it that easy, and then you're gonna and then it creates something super cool. What's a vocal for you? Do you have any vocals that I don't, because I'm a vocal coach and I do everything perfectly? Do you have any vocals that are a little bit trickier for you? Something you have to like prep for, something you have to like you can do it, but it's like you wouldn't do it off the rip. You'd want to warm up, you'd want to maybe do a couple tests, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, like black metal-y highs, like
Yeah, dude.
weirdly, like like if I'm practicing in the car or whatever, I'm still usually not, like giving it my all, especially when I'm like going through like my warm-ups. Like I like to do like going through the low notes, medium notes, high notes, then I go through like the vowel sounds with, like different inflections. And then I like to do that again, but with vocals at like 20% power.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like if I try and do like highs with 20% power, it fucking hurts like straight away. Like I can feel it. Like it
Sure.
feels like my vocal cords are like dry, and like you do that thing, where you start coughing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, oh fuck, have I finally like lost him? But then when it comes to doing them
Mm-hmm.
with like full power, that there's just something about finding that sweet spot. But even when like recording and stuff, they're the ones that I have to keep my eye on the most, because like there is a sweet spot, and if you like push it too far, or you do like or in my case, if I do like if I try and make like a certain intonation or whatever, which I won't be able to tell you what it is off the top of my head, but you can kind of
Sure.
instinctively feel it. I can, like that's the one that physically hurts. Like everything else,
Mm.
like obviously like mids, like if you're recording all day doing like mid lows, they can start to be like a bit of like wear and tear, but it's usually like not too bad. But if you're doing
Mm.
like highs all day, or like at least for me, they fucking wreck. Like
Really
I
interesting.
like doing them, but I like that, like same with like tunnel kind of sounding stuff. I like sprinkling it in with, like a more standard low and stuff. I feel like it accents lines a
Yeah.
bit more.
That's interesting, because for me, I'm like almost the exact opposite, except for like one really like super like crazy, like right out of the top of my head high. If I had a day with Nico where like I just like wasn't really feeling it, or I was a little sick, I was like, yo, can we just track highs all day? Can we just do highs for like this whole thing? And he'd be like, yeah, sure. And for me, that's like my easy mode. That's where I got started though. Like I was driving my mom's Buick LeSabre, listening to Abigail Williams, and I just accidentally, I was like 16, 17. I just accidentally was like, what the hell? For me, it's a lot of the low guttural stuff, because one thing that I hold a lot of tension in my neck. So I'm, before recording, like all the like really deep, like if I'm not conscious, and I do a lot of it, if I'm not conscious, I have to like work out and like massage my tongue and everything like this. It's just, it's something that I have to keep conscious of as well. And of course, you can't really do a lot of metal without like deep growls. It's tough to do,
I always thought, yeah, I remember talking to Matt Jones from Martyr Defiled,
Yeah, yeah.
which I've okay, probably over 10 years ago now, but like we've been pals for a long while. But I always remember him saying like that he always found like highs way easier than lows, and I was always like, how? Like, obviously, like
Yeah.
everybody's different, but like, I always remember that really specifically, and I'm just like, I guess I'm just doing them wrong.
Well, a lot of times when we start doing high vocals, right now, this is me being more anecdotal. I haven't like looked at a lot of like studies and science and stuff. I always try to draw that line, let people know. So one thing that is true, before I get anecdotal, is that when we're doing a lot of high screams, we're having to shape our vocal tract in ways that's going to amplify high frequencies, right? And so what that means is a lot of time we'll carry over the baggage that we have if we were trying to sing high. You know, a lot of my students who struggle with high screams, they also would try to sing a high note like, you know, happy birthday, dear Mar, like they do a lot of that, right? So oftentimes it's the same thing here, the way that we manage high screams and high singing, right? Now, here's where things get anecdotal. Um, One thing I always thought would be a correlation would be vocal type, right? But I've met people who are like undeniably tenor as hell, like just like tenor to the point where you're almost mad at them. You're like, listen, could you stop singing in that sixth, fifth octave so easily? You're pissing me off. You know what I mean? But for me, highs were really easy, and I'm like a baritone. Like, despite what I do on Kardashev, I'm way more comfortable down lower. You know what I mean? And then I've met some people who are basses. Their highs are just nuts. But I grew up doing a lot of church choir stuff, and you have to sing a lot of high notes. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. Did you like, because maybe this is a stupid question for you. Maybe I should know this and I don't. And if so, people can shame me in the comments. But do you do much with like a clean singing voice? Because I've only ever heard you in Black Tongue and Aversion's Crown, and you know the stuff you've done for like the I can't say Mr. Sister Fister without laughing. Like that just always makes me feel like a 9-year-old being like but
well, that's exactly what it is.
It's exactly. But like, do you do much with like a clean singing voice or not so much?
No, not really. I'd like to. Like I did you know that we did that Celtic Frost cover on Nadir.
Oh,
I think that's the only thing that's ever been made public with like my clean singing voice.
yeah,
But that's
okay.
quite, you know, that's quite soft. That's quite more like, I don't know, I wouldn't say bedroom pop at all because it's Celtic Frost, but it's like it's very there's not a lot of you know, like there's not a lot of power behind it. It's very sort of melancholy.
Mm.
I did a couple of things with Eddie and you know his misses a few times, which you know we'll probably
Sure.
never see the light of day. But that was just like straight up like Blink 182, like,
Yeah.
and it sounded fine. I'd like to. I'm working on a cover of Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen at the minute. So I love that's like one of my favorite songs of all time, and every time I hear it, I'm like, this could be blackened and sludgier, like
Oh,
in a like not in an extreme way, but it could be like darker. And I really want to do like a cover of it, and I'm gonna get we get Jesse from Dream State wants to do a duet with me
sure.
on it, and I think that's gonna sound great. So you know,
Yeah.
hopefully I've got the chops.
I've never even heard of the song or the band you're talking about. So
So have you ever seen Donnie Darko?
oh, hell yeah, of course I have. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
the song at the beginning
Maybe. It's been a while.
when he's on the bike.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
what's it
yeah.
go like?
Yeah,
Under blue moon, I saw you.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's Killing Moon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hell yeah. I've seen Donnie Darko a ton of times. Not in a while though. It's one of my favorite movies because I'm really edgy and cool. No, I'm kidding. I do love that movie. It is one of my like top 5. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I remember how sad I was when I learned that people were like, "Oh, if your favorite movie is Donnie Darko, you're just trying to be edgy." And I was like, I I like it a lot. Um, but
People are so scared of liking stuff and being edgy. It's fine. It's like
dude,
fucking who cares? Like, it's
yeah.
annoying when people are like that.
Well, you know, I saw you posted something on your Instagram stories the other day that I was like, God, ain't that the truth? It was I did this and then I got big opinions on Deathcore. And it was this kid jumping in a doorway and like smacking his
Just
head.
headbutting it,
Dude,
yeah.
dude, because I you know, oftentimes as like as a musician, and maybe you run into this too as a musician, but also as a reactor, people expect me to have like these like really strong like they'll be like, oh, I hate vocalists who are just doing vocals for the sake of vocals, and I'm like, I don't mind. And then people are like, oh, I hate music that doesn't have any soul, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means, you know. You know, but maybe you've run into that too. Maybe it's just because we're older and we're like tired of being all grumpy all the time. I don't know.
Well, it's because the internet is a false reality,
Dude,
and it's everything. Every single thing on it is disingenuous because the thing that generates people money is outrage. So if you take anything that you see on the internet seriously, you will fall prey to a false reality, and you should scold yourself and use Instagram less.
Oh my dude, you know what I dream of? I'm getting a little off topic, but it's very related to what you said. You know what I dream of? Like, I love my job. I love giving lessons. I love doing YouTube videos, but I dream of the day when I'm done and I delete everything.
Oh, dude.
It's all gone, dude. My I'll be done with this career. My son will be grown and on his own, and my wife and I will disappear into a mountain cabin, and people will like be, oh, he's off social. So actually, ideally, nobody's even talking about me. People don't even know I disappeared. I just vanish into the night.
No, what you mean, honestly, before these singles just came out, I was like, once these singles are out and I've boosted them and whatever, I'm just deleting Instagram. I'm just getting rid of it. It's a shithole. It's worse than 4chan was in 2007.
Well, yeah.
Because at least 4chan was anonymous. It was just like people, like screaming in a fucking, dark cave.
Yeah.
People with their whole ass public accounts are just being blatantly fucking racist and bigots. It's fucking awful, man.
Dude, I
can't be arsed with it.
It's wild.
Fucking the Demi-Edge managed to fucking claw me back in, and I haven't deleted it yet.
You won't escape, man. Not for a while. It'll be easier. Once the everything's died down. But yeah, and it's hard these days, dude, because it's hard these days to be a creative and not also a content creator of some variety. Or it's very difficult, and I think that's the thing that like I begrudge the most is like, I would love to just be a vocalist and not have like Metal Blade be like, which no shade on Metal Blade, but not have Metal Blade be like, what's your guys' content plan? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
I don't even know what that means, brother.
What's my content plan? Speaking of content, let's check out more of this song. What do you say?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm waiting for that big. You called it wait for the big BD at the end. I was like, what's this guy talking about? Where's this song going? But I'm excited for the big BD.
Let it wash over you, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it wash over you. I won't pause. I made a promise. Here we go. Well, I'll pause before, I'm sure. So my question is, why was that breakdown So bad. I'm just kidding. Why was that shit? No. Okay. So actually, I want to do this a little bit differently. I liked it, and I have a lot of things to say about it. I thought it was fucking awesome. But I kind of don't want to lead the witness. I kind of want to I want you to tell me what you love about that so much. I have articulation things, guitar things, ambient things, tempo things. I got a ton of things to say about it, but I kind of want to, like, you've been so excited about that from the beginning. And it's always so interesting. Like when I love when people are in their element, when artists are like, here's this thing I made and I'm really proud of it. I'm like, hell yeah. So talk to me about why you love that so much.
Okay, well, I'll start with the bit that's just before the BD comes in. That repetition of the children burning in the millions and the like that fucking just that growl that goes into the old as black and throat squeal thing. Like I love that bit. And I think one of the guys that they wanted that bit removing and making like more chorusy with something that had uh, already been earlier in the song.
Sure.
And I was like, I gotta get rid of it. Like, I fucking love it. I also don't really give a shit about choruses in metal, so I'm keeping it. And I loved it because those bits specifically, like I was expecting more people to point those out and be like, these aren't good, but nobody said that yet. But like those bits were like a real, like, one of the big things that I was thinking when I went into those specific takes is I want these to sound ugly. I don't really give a shit about the technique. I want these to sound bestial and ugly.
Yeah.
And I think like I managed to come across that quite nicely. And then in the second repetition, just before the BD, where it's got that like horrible like slimy growl that like goes into it, like I was like that. I think that's captured like a good use of technique with that bestiality. That sounds great. And I remember doing it. I did like some real like weird thing. Like as I was doing it, I kind of just like wobbled my head like that, and it kind of like helped make the sound. Like make that kind of like
Yeah.
kind of noise, which is cool. But yeah, then the actual BD. So one of the things I like that a lot of people don't seem to like in metal is when something is heavy in a way that doesn't sound like music. Like there was bits in like Black Tongue, because like me and Eddie, when we were like writing or like discussing ideas about it and stuff, we were of a similar opinion. It's when it stops being like music and it is just sound and atmosphere. Um, it's why it's almost like it's similar but not exactly the same as to why I like bands like Primitive Man.
Oh yeah,
It's like
dude.
it's barely
Yes.
music. It's
Uh-huh.
it, I mean it is like, I don't want to besmirch or anything, because I absolutely love them and it is music, but you could see why somebody would say that it isn't, or because it's like it almost defies the ideas of what makes music. It's more like sound art, which obviously music is, but more so it being like almost like sound performance art, but the performance is of just misery.
Mhm.
I love that. Like I love anything that like really makes me feel like these fucking awful feelings, like just through like sound alone, and like the because I get really vivid mental images from sound.
Mhm.
So like for things like that, I can like there's all these images like coming at me and stuff, and I absolutely love it. Or like things that like they just sound like planets colliding, and it isn't about the music. And people are like, "Oh, it's just fucking slow BD. There's hardly any notes in it." It's like, so what? What the fuck does that mean? Like, is it only good because like it's like faster or has more notes in it? I think that's like I think a lot of people would argue that that's like soul. I don't like agree with that, because like people say that like blues is easier to play than, like, as you were saying, like Ingrid Malmsteen, but like I would say blues has soul, whereas just pure shredding is soulless. It's not, again, not in a necessarily bad way. They both have their places, but there isn't personality to it. And this is not necessarily like personality. It's more the emotion that I like experiencing is awe in like a
Mm-hmm.
negative way. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like if God came down to earth, it wouldn't be a good time. It'd be absolutely harrowing. And like
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I love in metal. And like so like when I heard that BD for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And that was just like the demo version, which sounded like so thin compared to the one that sounds now. And then when I got that version back, I was like, oh, this is it. Then it just sounds like a nuclear bomb going off, and you just seen it in the distance, and you're like, well, I'm about to have all the flesh removed from my bones in like 1/18 of a second, so I'm just gonna
Sure.
let it happen.
Dude, it's interesting because, a lot of the music that I mean, I've got a wide variety, as I think we all do, right? That's not like an achievement. I listen to a lot of different things. Well, of course you do. Everybody does, right? But a lot of the music that I really deeply love, I could never have on the channel because, like Primitive Man, excellent. There's a band called The Body. I saw them live once, and it was just
I played with
noise.
him.
Okay, well then amazing. One of the just this wild, like I felt like, and it's interesting because I've used that same analogy with people before about, like, for me, I don't say like if God were to come down. I say like if you were to, if you had like this eldritch like experience of like seeing like the true nature of the universe. And one of my favorite songs that does that is actually from the Hereditary soundtrack, Reborn. It's those big brassy, and it's they're
Oh,
they're
that
a
has a
go ahead,
that
go ahead.
has a really specific note choice, doesn't it? That triggers a really weird,
Yes.
almost indefinable feeling in human beings of like Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely love that. That's like magic. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because like that song to me sounds so evil's not the right word. It's just so it's like it's like crushing, but it doesn't do like the normal things. It's not like minor key. It's not, and so other bands that have done stuff like Alluvial has this one song. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but throughout a good portion of the song, there's just like this buzz saw noise, and it like is horrific, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I listen to that song a lot actually. But yeah, I think that like that makes a lot of sense. And we're actually going to listen to the breakdown again now with like that in mind, because I think people really enjoy hearing what you hear. I really loved like the sort of anchoring, kind of like Mastaden era Viltjarta, like those little bing bing, because there's still like some little anchor, right? It's not dominant, it's not like adding too much musicality, but it's like giving you like something to hold on to in the chaos. And then I don't know shit about guitar production, bro, but those like oh, those sounded amazing. And you did exactly what I was talking about here with delivery. Probably the best example of the song. You said it this way at the beginning, but now it's more isolated. Like, you didn't say carrion bird. You said carrion, and then you just like spat the last word out. Carrion, right? Just on the floor. It's like in that, I think, is for me, dude, it's having been a musician for so long and having listened to so much music, and written so much and everything. Like, I don't even know what good music is anymore, but I know what I love, right? So sometimes people will be like, oh, like, and I'm starting to do album reviews on the channel, and it's actually quite difficult because it's like I can only talk about what I like. I don't like what makes a song good, homie. I have no idea. But one thing I love is just that like disdain, I think, like that you bring in your voice a lot. There's a lot of like this like like this disdain, like spitting on a peasant or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I watched your last video about my vocals, and you said something that I'd like obviously I like it's definitely something I'm aware that I do, but one of the words you used was it sounds like disgust and pity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was like yeah, yeah. Well, I can
yeah.
tell you exactly why it is, and this is going to sound incredibly pretentious, but
Do it,
if you
hit
can't
it.
be pretentious in the art space, where can you? And as I was saying before about like the narrative, and I think why people enjoy it is because it isn't narrative in a cheesy is the wrong word, but like lugubrious kind of over the top or stilted, you know, like an actual like a play or something. It's because the feelings of the characters are like authentic, because yes, I'm playing a character, but all of those characters are iterations of me. So there's a lot. So like whenever you hear like the vitriol and the disgust, it's because I'm talking at somebody that I, you know, have a concept that I am unhappy with, but I'm also talking to myself quite a bit as well.
No, I mean that makes sense, and that's a very powerful tool. That's a very powerful tool to actually go to a place, right? You know, there are times when I have done similar things. At the very end of our album Liminal Right, I have it's our longest song. It's like 12 minutes long. And there are these screams that I do where it's supposed to sound like somebody screaming out in regret while they're burning alive in a house they set on fire, right? To
grim.
Yeah. It's a grim album, dude. The whole thing is about somebody going to their childhood home to reclaim their past and realizing they can't, and that they're losing their mind, so they burn the house down with themselves in it, and then it's just
I fucking love that shit, dude.
It ends with like the sound of like crickets and cicadas and like the burning house. And so to do that, what I did is I did screams that like straight up were not healthy. They were not healthy, safe screams at all. But what I did was I literally like I put myself in this I like really didn't just think about, but I ruminated on like one of the worst periods of my life. And I just put all technique out the window, and I kind of shredded my throat a little bit. I would never
do the exact same thing in Nadir.
Yeah.
In Parting Soliloquy, and we specifically saved that bit to do right at the end of the vocal recording process, because we knew I was going to shred my vocals doing it.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you mean.
Dude, and you can hear it too. Because that's one of the most visceral, uncomfortable, like, you know, the first time I heard
it's a tough listen,
dude. It is. Well, the first time, like straight up the first time I ever heard it, I kind of like, and I mean this as a very good thing, right? But I kind of felt like I was hearing something I shouldn't. Like I kind of felt like I was like, man, this is like really personal. You know, it just with the sound, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you were like walking down the street and you heard like somebody sobbing, you would want to help them, but you'd also be like, I don't know if this is the spot for me. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so
it makes you almost like recoil, doesn't it? Like,
yeah. And that's a very cathartic and real emotion, and one that we don't experience a lot. So it's interesting to put that into music. And, you know, while I certainly wouldn't propose that anybody shred their voice purposefully, what I will say is that sometimes to get an artistic message across briefly, one time and not live, you can kind of strategically take the reins off and do what you got to do, and then just book a day of rest the next day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of let's go ahead and listen to it again. How far back should I go? Halfway seems a bit too far, like 2:45. Does that seem appropriate?
Yeah, you get to hear all the best bits.
Okay, cool. Let's do 2:45, finish it out, and then we'll chat a little bit, and then that'll probably be it. But here we go. Yeah, definitely much more interesting on a second listen with your in Ten of Swords. Is that like a little Easter egg, or is that the company of the?
That's the company.
That's a cool company name. That is a sick.
Man.
I don't know what Ten of Swords means in tarot, but it's enticing. Gets the mind going. So I have kind of a I don't think I've ever asked anybody this before. A guest this before, but I'd be interested, especially because, you know, you describe your vocals as so like, you know, obviously you have things about articulation and placement and all these things, right? But you describe it very emotionally, and I think that comes through in the music as well. So I'm kind of curious, like, who are some of your favorite metal vocalists, right? Like, if we just say vocalists, like a lot of my like top favorite vocalists of all time, they're not even metal vocalists. It's like Sufjan Stevens and Sade, right? But if we're talking metal vocalists, who are some metal or maybe you don't have any, that's possible too. Maybe you're like, man, I don't know, I just take it all in and see where it takes me. But if you do have a handful of favorite metal vocalists, like, who are they, and were they any inspiration of what you were doing here?
Yeah, so I think for a long time I was like, oh no, I don't have it. Like, I don't try and copy anybody, and I don't really. But when I've like climbed out of my own ass for saying that, there is absolutely some people, you know, that I just loved. I loved everything, like their intonation and how they like just everything about how they sounded. And Johnny Davey is the obvious one for Job for a Cowboy. So I remember the first Deathcore song I ever heard was Entombment of a Machine.
Same here, dude.
To this fucking day, like, the vocals even on Doom, they're like the speed and just like the savagery of every single line, every intonation is incredible. And like people in the comments for you know, Voice from the Outer Dark were like, oh, you know, he sounds like Johnny Davey on this, and I was like, that's like a massive compliment. But I sound like a poor imitation of Johnny Davey. Like, he's just incredible. Danny Filth from Cradle,
dude, he
obviously I don't really sound anything like his.
Yeah,
but he's a huge inspiration for like my style of lyric writing.
Yeah,
and like I love like the theater, you know, that he brought to, you know, that sound is amazing. And I can't remember his second name, but Zach from Elysia. They don't get talked about enough, but there is a very, very specific type of vocal that he does that I absolutely just straight up rip off, because I never hear anybody do it, and I fucking love it. And if anybody listening, if you want an example of it, because obviously our EP is out now, and there's one track that doesn't have a video, and that is Deathbed Lamentations, and it is it's in the big fucking breakdown at the middle, and it's like, how do you describe it? It's you turn every single syllable. It usually has like a sort of like speed to like tempo to it, but you turn every syllable into almost like an oi sound, but you do it like this. It's like an like snarl. So it ends up just sounding like, and it's almost goofy, but it's so fucking punchy. Like, I absolutely love it. Dude, and so Zach, if you're listening, bro, I fucking love you, dog. I love Elysia.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that. Like, I think I mentioned in the last video, like, I would agree with your self-assessment. Like, you can hear Johnny Davey upon the wind, but I wouldn't say that you sound like him. And like who could really, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm
not trying to, like, it's just because I'm doing fast vocals, people are saying that.
well, it's you know, there are some things that, you know, because we're influenced by our influences. There's no way around it, right? There are some choices you made, because he does a lot of hop skipping, right? It's not just speed, it's the hop skip. It's the like the way he does that, and like the sort of like a little bit of Scooby-Doo behind his voice. You know, I remember when we released our most recent album a couple months ago, a couple people were like, hey, I feel like this guy really likes Travis Ryan. I feel like he's a big fan of Cattle Decapitation. And I was like, course, you know, because I will never sound like Travis Ryan, but the fact that somebody heard like a puff of Travis Ryan in my voice, I was like,
Yeah.
I hit something that that I was hoping to hit.
That's how I feel about the Johnny Davey comments as well.
Yeah, it's nice when you get over that. Like, I will say, in some ways I enjoy being a musician and a vocalist now, that I'm 37, because like you said, I've kind of crawled out my own ass out of, like, it's not, I'll never imitate yes, you will, and it's okay. I'll never, no, nobody's 100% genuine, and it's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun, and in some ways, I enjoy recording vocals now, because I'm not like beating myself up, like if there's a spot where I think like a little bit of Cheney Crab influence from Entheos would spice it up, right? And I think it's such a fun way to be a vocalist, and it comes through, and it shines through. So between the two songs, which one's your favorite? Between the two, they're very different. They're very different in my opinion.
They are, and that's intentional. Like I wanted all three to definitely stand out from each other, so people could, because obviously it's almost like a sampler, really, isn't it? Like three songs in like it's to get people on board with the idea that Alex Teyen from Black Tongue's now the vocalist.
Yeah.
So that I wanted there to be like a nice sample of things for them to listen to. So they are all, and so like Castigation Choir is definitely the most metal one out of all of them, which is why it even has like that touch of cheese, at the beginning where I end that syllable on like an it's like almost it's like almost cheesy.
Sure,
that's like intentional, because that's the death metal one, even though it has like that big BD at the end. But and like Deathbed Lamentations is like, that's definitely like a proper like at home listener. Like, it's
sure,
the only way I could describe it is like, it's definitely the wrong word. It isn't drony, but the constant and like building tremolo. They almost get like trance-like in like a pretty upsetting way. And I liked it, and that was like, it wasn't like a challenge, but that was the one that like was the most interesting to work with.
Sure.
And to like build like an interesting song around, and like I've really it was the one that I was the most unhappy with for the longest time, until it like finally clicked as well, and I love it. And but no, a Voice from the Outer Dark is my favorite of the three. I absolutely love it. I just think it just ticks all the boxes. Like there's a few vocals on Castigation Choir that I'm not quite happy with. I'm not like, I wish I could change them. I do love Lamentations. But no, I think we really fucking nailed it with A Voice. But like, obviously, like there's more songs already finished, and
oh, that's good.
I can't wait for people to hear them on the full length, because it's like, it's just, even just like in the time it's took to record like those few on top of the three that we've released, it's just a step up from like not just me, but like the song, like the lads, like the songs are just fucking great, and like I feel like I've really settled into like a vocal style. Like, I've moved away from just like the straight up like kind of like low like neg alley type mids.
Sure.
Like, they're still in there definitely, but there's like even more variance now. But not for the sake of variance. It's not like all over the place. I'd say it's heavier. I know that's a silly, almost meaningless statement. It's heavier. It's definitely like, the vocals are definitely like they're gnarlier without becoming inaudible. But like the I won't say the gimmick, like the hooks for it are like, one of the tracks has like probably one of my favorite hooks I've ever done, like including some of my favorite bits on the Deer. So I just can't wait for people to hear it. It's just absolutely mad.
Well, that's good to hear, because like, straight up to I got the promo email, upcoming EP, download here, and I saw it was only 3 tracks, and I like, obviously with love, but in my room, like here in the office, audibly, I was like, boo. When I was like, it's only 3 tracks. But no, that makes sense though. A little sampler so people can kind of get used to the change, right? Because I mean, vocally, you and Mark are very different. It's a very new sound. And then, more to come later. So this is my last question for you. Because we could go forever, but I do have a lesson in 30 minutes that I should probably show up for. I should probably be on time for that, right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of like, I try to avoid like the standard interviewee questions. But this is one that I think has some value to it. I think this one is valuable, and you're welcome to be like, man, I don't know. Right. But being a full-time vocal coach, giving lessons 6 days a week, all the time, one of the biggest hurdles is that new vocalists, even when they have all the steps laid out, they just kind of feel like lost. They're like, what the, like, so someone who's brand new vocalist, like, what would be a piece of advice? And it doesn't even have to be technique based, just something that you think would be very valuable for a brand new vocalist to hear to help them along their metal vocal journey.
You're always going to get better. You're always going to learn new stuff. Mm-hmm. The more you get in the studio, live as well, definitely. But more consistently in the studio, you're always going to get better. Don't ever stay just doing the same thing. Like, always be like trying to do new bits, and don't make music that you think fucking has to fit like a certain like structure, like as you said earlier on. Metal shouldn't have any rules, but people are real fucking rules focused about it, and that's just like the least metal thing in the fucking world. Don't listen to the death metal grogs, because if you do listen to them and you make the music that they want, they're still not going to listen to you because you were once a deathcore band. So fuck them, because you're trying to appease people that don't deserve appeasing. Don't listen to the deathcore grogs either. Don't listen to any grogs, because nobody's in charge. Nobody is. You put your heart and soul into it. Do you know what? This is the best piece of advice. Do not be afraid to be vulnerable in your performance and in your lyrics, because people respond to that, and it's art. Yeah. It don't matter that it's like crazy and heavy and stuff. It is art, and the entire point of art is for people to show a slice of their inner selves that is not visible on the surface. Do not be afraid to do that. That's how you make fucking good music.
Yeah, that is absolutely 100% true. It's like the more genuine you are, and like actually genuine, not figuring out how to play genuine, but
manipulate people.
Yeah. Like the more you will succeed. Like this example isn't art, but it is interesting. So when I first started doing this vocal coaching thing and YouTube video thing, like if ever I accidentally did a bad vocal, because it happens. We all sometimes go up to the mic and we're like, what the hell was that? I used to.
Mine was shit earlier.
Oh, dude, we've all made shitty vocals before, and I will continue. I used to cut them out or start the video over, and then eventually I was like, this is stupid, and I just left them. If I do a bad vocal now, I just leave it in the video. I'm a vocal coach. I instruct people, and I will leave. I got my business. Like it was like the moment I started being like, in a video, I do a terrible scream and I'm like, whoops. And then I just try again. I got a lot more interaction. And
of course, because people don't feel intimidated by you. They're like, oh, you're a human being. And I can also do bad vocals sometimes as well.
Yeah. Like everybody. And a lot of the times the inconsistencies and the accidents are actually what people latch onto. Like how often has this happened to you where there's a song you aren't super comfortable with, or there's a vocal that you're not super comfortable with, and it goes to print and that's everybody's favorite or everybody's favorite part, and you're like, what? There's
no way to predict it.
There's absolutely no. So like being genuine and understanding that improvement's going to be a process. I think that's really good advice. A lot of my students, they'll come at learning vocals as they want to get to a point where they're done. And it's like, shit, I'm not done. I've been doing this for like over 15 years.
You're never done.
I'm not done. Like there's still stuff that like in our last album, I'm hitting high notes that I had to prep for 2 weeks, dude. Like people are like, oh, could you sing that? Like if somebody was like, hey, can you sing the outro to Reunion right now? I'd be like, no, I can't. There's no chance in hell I can sing that right now. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for the stuff that y'all have coming out. I feel like, being vulnerable and genuine is something that you've always brought very much in your music, and I'm excited to hear where it goes. Before we wrap it up, anything you want to mention, any other, like it could be an announcement or anything, any final thoughts you have before we call this video a day?
So I just about every week, it's pretty fast and loose. I usually do about 3 or 4 a month. I put a playlist together of like underground, like heavy bands
nice.
on my Spotify, and I'm usually looking for bands that have like under 1,000 plays. I usually go up to about 10,000 because that's not as many as you think it is. So it's all bands that I can like guarantee you haven't heard of, and it's across like the entire like heavy spectrum. You can find my profile on Spotify is Plague Father, the same as my Instagram. You can also find a link to my Spotify page on my Instagram. Again, Plague Father, and it's usually about an hour and a half. You try and get 3 to 4 out a month. It's just like new bands for you to listen to. It's all heavy. It's all complete ass beaters. Yes, if you wanna check that out, there it is.
Does it have a picture of you doing this?
I haven't got anything I can announce music wise, or that I'm allowed to announce. But next year's going to be very cool.
Yeah, then don't announce that. Your profile on Spotify, I think I found it. Does it have a picture of you like doing like this face?
Yeah, me doing this.
Okay, because there are a couple Plague Fathers. So yeah, I didn't know you did that. So I'll check that out. Bands you should be listening to, Part 3, July. Those album covers make me think that that's the one. But awesome. Well, dude, it was awesome having you on. Awesome finally being able to talk vocals, especially when the stuff you're like, it's a really good time to have you on too, because it's like not just new music, but new music in a new way with a new band, with a new outlook, I guess. But that's it. That's all I got. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everybody watching. And
my pleasure.
Hell yeah. All right. Bye everybody. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.